Welcome everyone. I am not in my usual spot at home. I am in one of the cabins at Liffey here in Tasmania, Australia. And this is one of my favourite places to come to relax. Sometimes we find actually taking time away from our everyday roles and responsibilities can be deeply nourishing, and this is the place that I come to be rejuvenated and to rest and relax. And I just couldn't help myself to not record our next relaxation practice here at Liffey. There is such a sacred energy that is on this land, and I hope that it is felt in the practice that we're doing today. One thing to mention before our practice is a big thank you to Swati Singh, who is such a beautiful person and Vedic astrologer. And thank you for recommending me to your followers. So welcome anyone who has found me that way. Please know that I'm here for you, and if I can help in any way, just please let me know. So where did I want to start with this practice? As always, a little bit of a download on the astrology landscape. So we have just experienced the new moon. And so now from the new moon, we are going into the waxing phase. So where everything starts to gently build again. So there's more what I would describe as an active energy. And it may just be subtle that we notice the waxing and the waning of the moon cycle. Or for some of us, it may be more intense, and especially at different times. And speaking of intensity, this was the sensation that came to me when feeling into the next full moon, which is in Scorpio. And how I relate to this is that sometimes there is such intensity within our mind that we find it almost impossible to relax. And we might try and sit and meditate or focus on the breath, or we may lie down and do a yoga nidra, and we just can't be present. And so this is where there are so many ways that we can relax. And it doesn't have to be as we have done in the first couple of videos, which are a little bit more meditative style. Relaxing can be going out into nature and walking, and sometimes that more active, engaging the body helps us to relax. And so this relaxation that we're going to do together is a tool that I use regularly, which is where I listen to a reading, and so that my mind has something more substantial to focus on. So it stops the never-ending story of Tina that's going around and around constantly on replay, and can tune in and listen to something else. So it's like how we would use a mantra, but instead of using a mantra, we will read a story or read a few pages of a story. So I hope that you find this relaxing, and not every tool is for everybody, but hopefully you will enjoy the pages that I'm going to read for you in this practice. So make sure that you're comfortable, and that might be lying down, it might be a seated practice. Make sure that you are warm, I say this because I'm in Tasmania, where winter has definitely arrived, but if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, make sure that you are comfortable, not too warm perhaps. And we'll begin the relaxation practice by me just introducing the book that I'm going to read from. It's called The Wisdom of Tea. I'll put a little a photo up on the screen. The subtitle is Life Lessons from the Japanese Tea Ceremony. And I read this book just a few months ago. It's by an author called Noriko Morishita. Please forgive any mispronunciations. And it was so captivating that I think I read it pretty much in one sitting. I couldn't put it down. Such a beautiful book. And I'm just going to read you a few pages, maybe about 10 minutes worth from the foreword of this book. Every Saturday afternoon, I walk to a house about 10 minutes away from my own. It is an old house with a big paper plant in a pot outside the entrance. Rattling open the sliding door, I am greeted by glistening water droplets on the entrance hall floor and the smooth scent of charcoal. From the garden, I hear a faint babble of running water. I enter a quiet room overlooking that garden to kneel on the tatami-covered floor, boil water, whisk tea, and drink it. And I simply repeat that process again and again. I have been coming to this weekly tea lesson for 25 years since I was a university student. Even now, I often get the procedures wrong. Many elements remain opaque to me, making me wonder why we do them at all. My feet go numb. The etiquette frustrates me. I have no idea how long it will take for me to understand everything completely. What's so great about tea anyway? Friends sometimes ask me. Why have you carried on with it for so long? In this world, there are things that we understand immediately and things that take time to comprehend. Once is enough for the former type of experience, but things in the latter category reveal themselves to us only gradually. And each time we understand a little more, we realize that we had only been seeing a tiny fragment of the whole. Tea is exactly like that. When I was 20, I thought of tea as nothing but etiquette and rules. There was nothing pleasant about that feeling of being forced into a mold. What made the situation worse was that I had no idea what I was doing, no matter how many times I did it. And even though I could not remember a single thing, the procedures and combinations of utensils would change according to the weather or climatic conditions that very day. And when the seasons changed, the layout of the whole room would be drastically altered. I experienced the endless cycles of the tea room for years and years, with only the vaguest awareness of what it all meant. Then one day, quite out of the blue, I noticed the tepid smell of rain in the air. Oh, there's a shower on the way, I thought. The droplets that pelted the trees and plants in the garden sounded different from before. Afterward, the air was musty with the smell of earth. Until that moment, I had only ever thought of rain as water, an odorless water at that fell from the sky. Soil had not had a smell either. It was as though I had been looking out at a world from within an upturned glass jar. And then someone had lifted the glass and let the seasons reach my senses of smell and hearing. It reminded me that I too was a seasonal creature, no different from a frog that could identify the smell of the pond where it was born. The cherry blossom always reached full bloom in early April each year. In mid-June, the rain would start to pour down as if by appointment. I was astounded by this entirely unremarkable fact, which had taken me almost until the age of 30 to notice. Before that point, I had thought of the seasons in binary terms, hot seasons and cold ones. Little by little, finer categories began to emerge. In spring, flowering quince bloomed first, followed by plum, peach, and then cherry trees. Once the last of these had turned from pink to freshest green, the heady scent of blossom-laden wisteria tendrils would waft through the neighborhood. After the azaleas had passed their peak, the air would become muggy, heralding the first showers of the rainy season. Plums would swell on the trees. Irises would line the streams and ponds. Hydrangeas would burst into flower, and the sweet fragrance of gardenias would drift by. And when the hydrangeas faded and the rainy season had come to an end, succulent cherries and peaches would fill the greengrocer's shelves. Each season overlapped with the next, so there was always something to enjoy. The traditional Japanese calendar was divided into not 4, but 24 seasons. To me, though, it actually seemed like a different season every time I went to my weekly tea lesson. One day, when it was pouring down, I became so absorbed in the sound of rain that the room seemed to disappear, leaving me right in the middle of the deluge. As I listened, I eventually became the rain falling on the plants in Sensei's garden. So this is what it means to be alive. My skin was prickly with goosebumps. Moments like this have come to me from time to time over my years studying tea, like fixed term deposits reaching maturity. I did not do anything special to spark them. I lived the life of a perfectly ordinary 20-something and continued through my 30s and 40s in a similar unremarkable vein. Without my noticing it, though, something had been building all that time, like water filling a cup drop by drop. Nothing would change until the cup was full. The water eventually reached the top and bulged above the rim, held in place only by surface tension until one day another drop fell and broke the equilibrium. In that instant, the water spilled over the edge and flowed out. We do not have to study tea to experience a gradual awakening, of course. Men who have become fathers often say things like, "My old man used to tell me that I'd understand one day, but it was only when I held my own child in my arms that I realized what he meant." Some people find that when they get sick, entirely commonplace things in their surroundings become incredibly dear to them. The passage of time alone can open our eyes on occasion to how much we have grown. But there is nothing like tea for paring away the excess and providing a tangible sense of the personal growth that you cannot see. You haven't the faintest clue what you're doing at first. Then one day, out of the blue, your horizons broaden, just like in life. In exchange for the time it takes to understand, tea lets you savor the thrill of that moment when your world expands, as first a small cup, then a bigger one, and eventually an enormous pot of water overflows again and again. Just after I turned 40, when I had been studying tea for more than 20 years, I began to talk to my friends about it. They would react with amazement, saying things like, "Wow, is that what it's really like?" And this reaction surprised me in turn. That was when I decided to write about tea one day, about what I had felt during my lessons at Sensei's house, about the multitude of seasons, about those moments over the last 25 years when my cup had overflowed. When I began to learn tea, I could not hold on to the tiniest inkling of what I was doing, no matter how hard I tried. But step by step, things have started to come into focus. And after 25 years, I now have at least a hazy grasp of why we do what we do. And when you are living through difficult times, when you have lost all confidence and the world seems plunged into darkness, tea teaches you one thing above all else: live in the moment with an eye to the future.